Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Afrospace. My name is Nyasha Grace and I'm joined by my co-host, that's Adetunji Omotola. This is the show where we talk everything that's African. And on the show today, we're going to be focusing on entertainment, and we have a very special guest that we're going to be talking to. We have on the show today, Kunle Ayo. Kunle is considered to be one of the best guitarists on the continent, and he has done a lot and received a lot of music accolades over the course of his career. He is Nigerian, based in South Africa. He has 7 albums under his belt, and I believe also has a double CD that's in the works. And he is renowned in the genre of African jazz, where he has done collaborations with the likes of Brahu Masekela and Oliver Mtukudzi. Kunle, that is an impressive profile based on what you've been busy with your music career. And we're so privileged to have you in Afrospace today.
Thank you very much for having me. So it's really a privilege for me to be on this wonderful program. And thank you for the way you introduced me, as it were. Really means a lot.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, Kunle, I'm tempted to, as my brother, we're both Yorubas, so I am tempted to interview you in Yoruba, but because Nyasha will not understand. So let me stick to the language we all can speak and understand. Okay. Now, you are a celebrated master guitarist from Nigeria, of Yoruba origin, which is the southwestern part of Nigeria. And you're also a naturalized South African, as well as a citizen of the world. Now, just to bring it home, how did you come to South Africa? And how have you found your stay? And the reason why I'm asking you this question is because a lot of people, in fact, there's a hashtag now, I don't know if you've heard about that hashtag Nigerians must fall. And it's been trending for the last 3 weeks. So can you tell our viewers your journey into South Africa and so far how you found your stay?
Okay. In the year 2001, I was living in Nigeria. I was working with the great Lagbaja, and we had a tour of South America. We were going to Costa Rica, some part of Brazil, and the only plane that could take us there had to via South Africa. That was my first experience of South Africa. And then when we got back home in February of 2002, I then decided to come back, to come and check the town out because I liked it. When I came, it was December in 2001 when I first came here. I kind of fell in love with the place and the vibe and all of that. So I came back in February, and at the time I was recording my first CD, Ayo. And that for me was the start of my journey here. I came back several times between February and May. And then, long story short, I got a deal with Universal Music 2002, and Daram was the MD at the time. He's left Universal now. He was the one that didn't, they now signed me as an artist, and I then became a Universal record artist, as it were. And that was, for me, why I came here. I came here because music was viable for me at the time, because I wanted to do jazz. And in Lagos at that time, jazz wasn't that much of a genre that you could depend on fully as a means of livelihood. You couldn't just do jazz. You had to be somebody's guitarist. You had to be a juju artist, guitarist, or, even pop wasn't big at the time, So, but I didn't want to do that. I was playing with Lagbaja. I was comfortable. I was making money and all of that. I had other people I was playing with that was giving me money. But beyond that, I wanted to do something for me, that would probably give me more what I'm doing now, as it were, at the time. So I came purely for that. And when I came, it was hard. It was really hard because there were no predecessors for me who had probably been here and, we call it in Yoruba land, Totifuri Jagbo, who has kind of paved the way. So I was like the first person out of Nigeria to come stay in South Africa to do music. There were other professions like your professors and other people in other fields, doctors and all of that. But in music, there was nobody who had been here who is a Nigerian who has come to stay here and perhaps shown, what it was like or what it is like to do that. So for me, it was really hard because they didn't understand. Why would you leave your home and come to a foreign country, as it were, and come and do what you do? Why don't you just stay home and play music there? But I knew what I was here for. So I stayed back and I've been pushing since then. So primarily I'm saying that music is the one that brought me here, and it has been my major source of income, my passion, my love, and everybody that I've met in my life that meant something has been through my coming to stay in South Africa. I'm working with all the great names you've mentioned has been because I came to stay here.
Mm. Wow. I mean, talking about Nigerian music, Kunle, and part of the work that you yourself has done is that Nigerian music seems to have gone and really created inroads across the world. And you certainly have been able to do that here in South Africa. And as we've seen in the past days with Burna Boy winning the BET Award for Best International Artist.
Yep.
Nigerian music has really, has really taken the world by storm. And the emergence of Nigerian music has literally brought the continent into the spotlight. What do you think for Nigeria? The music industry has really contributed back home in terms of the fiscus economically. What has music done? Do you think music has done in building and propelling the country forward?
Well, I think music has done too much. I think arts generally, even our movie industry has done quite well globally. But now that we're talking about the music, I think that our people have really, one thing I like about being Nigerian one thing I like about Nigeria is the fact that it teaches you to be tenacious. It teaches you to don't give up regardless of what life brings you. There was a time that, every Nigerian artist who was big would have to come into South Africa to come find an artist to collaborate with in order to make sense of of their careers, as it were. But these days, South Africans are the ones going to Nigeria to look for artists to collaborate with because of the wave of the sound and the music that has come out of Nigeria and came out of tenacity, came out of resilience, came out of pushing the boundaries and just making sure that we don't give up regardless. When I came, it was hard, but I kept on. But thank God today, Kunle Ayo is a bit of a name around the globe. But I am more appreciative of what the likes of Burna Boy and all these great names are doing for us as a continent, as a country, in the continent, and of course in and around the world. So I think that music is playing a big role, even in, gone are the days where you would play a guitar and your father would tell you, my friend, leave that guitar, go and read your book. Gone are those days, you know what I'm saying? Tunji, you know what I'm talking about? Where, even your father will buy you.
Guitar with you now.
Exactly. Even your father will buy you soccer ball because they've seen that talent is what is the word I'm looking for? It's viable. It can make you live comfortably. And the lavish life that people see on social media has really just enabled the industry to kind of expand. Of course, it's got its cons, as much as it's got its pros. However, the industry is such in a beautiful place. It's in a beautiful place such that the world is looking at, oh, if my son can, be in a plane like Davido flies around the world, or can have this kind of mansion, or can drive this kind of car, then let me support them. So I think that they can see how viable the music industry is. is in Nigeria and of course in the continent. But another thing is we are only scratching the surface, because there's so much more that we can do if we had an industry. Now, these are individuals who are pushing themselves. Davido is not signed to any label, major label, except for maybe publishing, signed to Sony. But before Sony could say, let us sign with you, it's because they've seen what he has done and they want to be part of that beautiful work that he has done. So I'm trying to say that you can now imagine if the Sonys or the Universals or all these great guys, all these great companies will then go and discover a Davido, groom him from scratch, put industry around him, how far he can go. These are individuals. Wizkid is an individual who did pushed himself, became a name for himself, not because he was signed to anybody. It is only now that they signed him because he has become a name. I came here, did all I did by myself. I didn't have an industry. You can now imagine if there was an industry behind every individual artist, it would do less in terms of trying to struggle to make it, and he'll be able to put more of his effort in this craft. And you can imagine how much more we can do and be if that was happening in Africa.
So Kunle, I mean, you've played, South Africa has a rich tapestry of musical stars. And we know that you played with some of the greatest ever, the Jabu Kanyiles, the Ibrahim Masekelas, and Judy Sepumas, and so on. Well, please, can you share with us your work experience with the great Ibrahim Masekela?
Okay. All right. So I'm saying that I met him in 2004, and we became buddies in a way, friends from afar. I call him my father over time. And then in 2010, I went to him and I said, 2008. I said, sir, I'm recording an album and I would like you to feature on it. And he came to the studio, he heard it, he told me he likes it. However, he doesn't feel that I am representing Nigeria enough in terms of my sound. So when I released that album that he wasn't really keen on working on, he now called me maybe 2 years after that. He now called me and said, listen, I heard your album. I'm sorry I didn't play on it. But listen, there's a girl that I would like you to record for me. Google Shazy. He said, I like what they're doing, but I think that they didn't bring in the African elements enough. I said, okay, no problem. So, and he was traveling at the time. He was in Europe. He did a lot of tours at the time, and he wasn't around. So when we finished the project, he came back, he heard it, and he fell in love with it. Like, wow, this is what I'm talking about. This is beautiful, whatever. So after that, he now said, I actually want to record something. I have an idea. Can I, can we just work on one song? And I'm like, okay, why not? Let's work on one song. One song became 12 songs.
Wow.
A couple of months later, and that for me, kind of brought us closer. He became my father. I call him my father at the time, because he used to share so much wealth of knowledge. He used to share experiences, how he lived in Nigeria, how he lived in Congo, how he traveled around the world, and what life was to him, and his experiences, his drug addiction, how he got out of it, and how he tried to help other people also get out of it. So we spent like space about 2 years intermittently together in the studio, recreating, and we had about 3 other projects that we were working on. But unfortunately, he passed on just after the album was ready, and we're going to get on the road to promote it. Actually, we were at a rehearsal. We did one rehearsal for his launch, and he got sick, and that was it. And we lost him after that. But I mean, working with him has been the best experience I've had. Working with anybody, any artist, anybody. I mean, it was just an amazing person.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that story with us, Kunle. And talking about obviously the big elephant in the room, and that's the COVID-19 pandemic. Can you tell us what the pandemic has, what impact it's had on the music industry, and particularly you know, everybody's saying that the world beyond the pandemic is never going to be the same. And we're curious from music, what does that look like? What permanent or semi-permanent changes are going to happen in the music industry after COVID?
Well, we could either see a glass half empty or half full. The choice is ours. I wouldn't want to see it as half full. Yes, it affected us negatively. A lot of us had shows planned out for the year. I normally do a yearly event called Beam the Light, which I was hoping to do again this year. You know, it messed up a whole lot of things. I mean, we depend on the gigs a lot of times to pay our bills and to live and all that. That is what we do. I mean, so the fact that all of that was cancelled, it really messed up a whole lot of things. However, it kind of showed us that there are other ways. There are other ways by which we could do what we're doing. There are other ways we could reach our audience. We are in an industry where we engage with people. It's more about people interaction. That's where we get our high from. I enjoy really playing to the people, you know. But because of COVID, we are now trying to see how can I perform to people that are not in front of me and make it look as though they are right here. I'm talking to you. Normally we would do this on a round table. There'll be a camera in front of us and we will be talking. But now we have found a way to make this thing work. I'm in my studio, you are in your space, and we are talking. Life continues. So COVID has kind of, you know, opened our eyes to see new ways of doing stuff. Are we going to go back to the way we were doing things before, even after COVID? I don't think it's going to be 100%. I think it has come to stay. You know, I think we're still going to be having meetings like this. We're going to be having interviews like this. I think we're still going to be doing, I have a show, I think it's later today. I have an event today that I'll be performing right in my space, you know. After this interview now, I'm going to prepare the song that I'll be playing from my computer. As you can see, I'm going to take one of my guitars and just get the song ready and set my camera roll, and we do a show. So I think this has come to stay in a way. However, I think we're still going to be partially going back to that place where we will have 100 people in a room, 1,000 people in a room. But I don't know how soon that will be. COVID is real, and I hope that people are taking it seriously to prevent themselves from it, to take care of themselves, wash your hands, sanitize, social distancing. All these things are very, very, very important. I hope we do all of those things.
That was powerful, Mr. Kunle Ayo. I like the beard.
Thank you.
Remind me of Teddy Pendergrass. Teddy Pendergrass.
Look at we stuck it.
So why am I feeling a little bit left out, guys? Why am I feeling a little bit left out?
Don't worry, yours is on your head. Yours is on your head. Well, you know, he's
lovely hair, by the way.
Yeah. So, but Kunle, thanks so much for coming on Afrospace. We look forward to having you again in the future.